Welcome to the fourth of the Transformational Leaders Edge podcast series. My name is Gorden Simango, a graduate in the Doctor of Transformational Leadership program with honors in the Organizational Transformational track at Baki Graduate University. Our focus today is on making values real. We are focusing on implementation, on embodiment, and corporate culture today. And to help us unpack the weight and the wisdom of this again is Dr. Andréas Andersson. Just in case you missed the third episode, Dr. Andréas is married to Lena and lives in Sweden. His mission in life is about developing concepts, training leaders, and building movements for personal and national transformation. With over 20 years experience in vision and value-based leadership transformation and organizational development, he combines serving as a church pastor with mentoring business leaders through his company, Olagom. He is also the founder and leader of two disciple-making movements. One is ISA or ISA 60 International, and the other one is Key Sevens Academy. Well, the ISA 60 movement has spread to 15 countries, touching and transforming thousands of lives every year. Key Sevens Academy is currently run by churches, mainly in Sweden. Dr. Andréas has authored 6 books and holds a doctorate in transformational leadership from Baki Graduate University. Dr. Andréas, welcome, and it's my pleasure to have you on this 4th episode of this series. I'm deeply grateful. Dr. Andréas, feel free to add to the bio and anything you would find useful for the viewers. Over to you, Dr. Andréas.
Thank you, Dr. Gorden. I'm happy and grateful to be back. Well, I can add that if you're passionate about movements, I can recommend a website, www.ownershipchainmanagement.com. My research was about identifying the keys to building transformational, sustainable, self-multiplying movements. Movements with the power to transform both people and societies. And on this website, I share some of the keys. In particular, I share a new concept that I coined through my research. It's called ownership chain management. It's about the art of transferring ownership in the most effective and efficient way possible. I also introduce a book that I wrote as an integral part of my doctoral dissertation project, where I share my main research findings with the reader. So feel free to take part of that, ownershipchainmanagement.com.
Wow, and congratulations for achieving all that and for your research and all these concepts that you're also introducing in the leadership and management field. And now let's just move back to organizational values. And Dr. Andréas, just getting practical again, how do we turn a noun like innovation or a value like innovation and make it a walk and talk in the hallway? And how do we move from the aspired value to an incarnated value?
I love this question. In order for a value such as innovation to become flesh in an organization and in a culture, it needs to permeate every aspect, every area of organizational life. It has to permeate who we are, what we stand for, how we lead and how we organize our business, what we prioritize and what kind of decisions we make, whom we recruit and how we train them, how we reward and promote people, our workers, and also what we communicate and how we behave, both internally and externally. Concretely speaking, how does that look? What does an innovative organization look like? Well, a lot of research indicates that the single most important factor when it comes to building effective and innovative teams and cultures is psychological safety. Psychological safety. All people involved need to feel safe. Safe to find their place on the team, safe to learn new skills and competencies, safe to contribute their ideas, and safe to come up with initiatives that challenge the status quo. Another key aspect of innovative organizations is that they have a supportive leadership structure and culture. Typically, network structures are more conducive to innovation than hierarchies because they are more flexible and control is more decentralized in that kind of organizations. Leaders and managers at all levels must be willing to delegate not only tasks, but real power. They must transfer ownership of ideas, which includes the freedom to experiment and make decisions. And all employees need to be allowed and encouraged to think freely, to experiment, and to come up with disruptive ideas, ideas that challenge the status quo. Thinking outside the box must be viewed as an asset and not as a threat, which is the case in many organizations today. Last but not least, mistakes and failures must be not only accepted, not only tolerated, but celebrated. This is a hallmark of truly innovative organizations.
Oh, wow, 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 wow. You said many very useful things there. Can I just make a follow-up? When you talked about psychological safety and then also the power to give decisions to employees to make decisions, how can a leader facilitate psychological safety, or how can they ensure psychological safety to the extent of allowing their own employees to make decisions that matter within an organization? Because sometimes that's what we find challenging, and sometimes we find it threatening, or some leaders find it threatening, like I can't give the power to make decisions. And sometimes leaders also maybe are not trained enough to ensure that psychological safety is released to the employees or to staff. How does a leader ensure in their day-to-day work that there is psychological safety amongst the staff or within the organization, so to speak, even between peers?
This is a great question. And of course, there are many different ways of doing this. First of all, I understand that it can be scary to sacrifice some of the control, but this is the price you need to pay because unless people have real freedom to make decisions, you will not maximize the potential in the organization, the creativity, and just the power to create. And also, like I said, ownership is such a key in this. And actually, this was part of my research, ownership chain management, because if you want to feel as a leader, if you want to feel safe as you delegate authority, that person needs to own the vision, own the values, own the goals of the organization. So in my research, I identified 6 different types of assets that you need to transfer in order to fully transfer ownership. So I believe that before you delegate or transfer all that control and power to coworkers, make sure that they really own the baton, and the baton consists of these 6 types of assets. But then I think creating this environment is a key challenge. And like I said, each person needs to find their place on the team. This is one part, that they need to feel that we are truly valued. They need to feel seen, confirmed, loved. They need to feel I have a place here. So you need to see them and confirm them, each one individually. But that's not enough. That's just the first step. Then they need to be safe to learn. This is called learner safety, learn new skills and competences. And the third step or level is what we can call contributor safety, that they feel safe to contribute new ideas. And one way, of course, is that you need to encourage those ideas and make sure that no ideas, no suggestions are stupid. Because as a boss, if you signal that that was a stupid idea, that's the safest way of kind of eliminating creativity among your coworkers. They need to feel that all ideas are welcome, even those who may sound a bit crazy. And that's when we come to the 4th level, where they can even challenge the status quo, the kind of disruptive ideas, where you question how things have always been done. So this takes a very secure and safe leader to have the guts and to have the courage to delegate real power.
Oh, that's really, really powerful. And thank you again for those insights. And now coming back to discussing how can we incarnate values in an organization. So just another practical example, Dr. Andersson. If we replaced a value such as collaboration with a specific action in a Tuesday morning meeting or in one of your meetings, how would that look like?
Okay, let's say that I'm leading that Tuesday morning meeting. Then to begin with, as a leader, instead of doing all the talking myself, I would invite and encourage every participant to share and to contribute their input, their ideas to our conversation. That is so important to create this including atmosphere. In fact, in a huge assessment project that Google undertook, it started in 2012, I think it ended in 2014. It was called Project Aristotle. You can look that up, Project Aristotle. In this huge assessment project, Google found that equal turn-taking was one of the most significant characteristics of highly effective and top-performing teams. You could summarize the results of their assessment with this one sentence. It's in my words, but this is how I would summarize the findings. Collaboration and communication beat brain power and team composition. Collaboration and communication beat brain power and team composition. Moreover, if we go back to this Tuesday morning meeting, I would make sure not to take the credit for achievements things we have achieved as a team or as an organization. But instead, I would seize the opportunity to highlight our collective efforts to boost the team spirit. And I would also try my very best to give specific, encouraging feedback to each member of the team so that they would feel valued and important in this process. So they would know that their unique contribution really made a difference.
Oh, wow. That's really, really powerful. There is a price tag in every value, and we need to invest in that. And just coming to yourself, Dr. Andréas, what is a value that you actually hold that hurts you to practice? Because sometimes it hurts because it is the right thing to do. And just coming to yourself in terms of your work in your organization, what do you find as the most hurtful practice or the most difficult value that you hold that hurts you to practice?
Yes, wonderful question. I would pick the value of grace. Grace can be very painful to practice. In my case, this value is a natural consequence of my Christian faith. Because if Christ has forgiven me all my wrongdoings, I also need to be willing to forgive others who have hurt me, who have let me down. Let me first underscore that forgiveness is not the same thing as accepting the behavior or saying the behavior was okay. Quite the contrary. The first step toward forgiveness is to affirm that the behavior was indeed wrong or hurtful, because otherwise there would be nothing to forgive, right? But then as a second step, I need to choose to erase the other person's debt on my account. It prevents the hurt from poisoning my heart and causing bitterness, causing cynicism, which has actually been the case in many people's lives. Forgiveness sets my own heart free. It's the best remedy against bitterness and cynicism. But I would also like to add that practicing grace goes both ways. Not only do I have to forgive others who have hurt me, but I also need to ask forgiveness when I'm the one at fault, when I'm the one who have hurt others. And this includes swallowing my pride and showing real vulnerability. Grace is a costly value. There's no guarantee that the other person will accept my apology. Maybe they will ignore it. Maybe they will even mock it. But that's not the point. The important thing is that I have done everything on my side, everything in my power to try my best to achieve reconciliation with the other person. Then I can keep a clear conscience both before God and before men.
Wow, I definitely identify with that value of grace and the challenge that it actually poses to us, and really looking up to God and the heavens for more grace to us, for us to be able to implement the value of grace, because yes, it is as good as it is, and we just need to exercise it wholly and wholeheartedly every now and again. And Dr. Andréas, here's a scenario. We have this person called Sarah who has been in an organization since day one, and maybe she has been part of the founding process of the organization. She's now working in the organization and she's kind, she's loved by everyone. And as new skills are needed as the organization grows and expands, unfortunately, she doesn't have that skill set that is needed now, and there are no prospects that she will reach the level of skills that are needed now. And she seems to be a bottleneck now to the team's growth, and everybody's complaining about it. And here is the rub, Dr. Andréas. Keeping Sarah in her role hurts the team's output and frustrates high performers who have to pick up with her slacking, and letting her go feels like a betrayal of the family that you started with her and the family that you have built with her. How do you practice kindness, Dr. Andréas, when the kindest thing for the team is the difficult conversation for you to have with the individual, in this case, Sarah?
Wow. This is a hard one, especially for somebody with a shepherd's heart like myself. I always strive to find win-win solutions where everyone wins, everyone thrives, everyone prospers. The question is there a way to show kindness both to Sarah and to the team, or do you have to sacrifice one of them? In this case, keeping Sarah in her current role is no option. That's no sustainable solution. The price for the team would be too high. You'd risk losing not just the motivation, but even some of your best and most wholehearted and committed workers. So you need to take that really honest and loving talk with Sarah. The question is, how do you do that? And let me give you a few suggestions. First of all, confirm her value and her importance as a person. While emphasizing her great significance to your company over the years, explain to her that she means more to you as a person than any effort, any contribution she could possibly give to your organization. Secondly, help Sarah see what are her true strengths, her true qualities, and what are not. Thirdly, try to find or create, if the role doesn't already exist, within your own organization, a role where Sarah can thrive and prosper and where she can help others become better, because that seems to be one of her strong points. Sarah is more than a colleague. She is an entrusted and a much beloved family member. Fourth, if it's not possible to keep Sarah, if the cost is too high and there's no way to create this tailored role for her, help her identify another job in another organization that better suits her unique strengths. Offer her a generous exit deal and write her a personal recommendation letter that will help her in her new career. And last but not least, make sure to stay in contact with Sarah and invite her to company celebrations, because she can still be a part of the family, even if she is no longer one of the employees. Even without an employment, she can be part of the family.
Wow. I can see and I can feel the shepherd's heart at play here. To our listeners, our viewers, we have a homework hook for you. We would like you to take your company's top 3 values and find one specific physical action that happened in your office this week to prove each of those values exists. If you can't find any, that's maybe where your change must begin from. And Dr. Andréas, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom on making values real. I really, really appreciate. If you found value in today's conversation, please like, subscribe, and share. And subscribing is the best way to ensure you will never miss our next transformational insights. And if you are interested in any organizational assessment process or developing systems in relation to the issues we discuss here, please feel free to write to findingexcellence@ehp@yahoo.com. I am Gorden Simango, and thank you for watching.